Good evening, fellow ghouls and specters alike. It's your ghost host with the most, Tiki here.
And Jacob Weil,
And Pergron.
here to engage in some haunted holiday hijinks by trudging through the catacombs and dusting off the cobwebs to recount our spooky selection of Halloween classics.
So light the jack-o'-lanterns, suit up, and grab the candy dish as we revive and recount tonight's spooky selection. Over the garden wall. Potatoes and molasses. All right. Okay, so how we all doing tonight, folks?
Doing pretty good.
Good. Very excited.
Yeah, so this is our 10th anniversary retrospective on Over the Garden Wall. And I am just going to come out with a hot take. I don't even know how hot of a take it is because this thing is pretty beloved. Right off the bat, this is just hands down the best thing that Cartoon Network has ever produced and probably will ever produce. I think this is just a stone cold masterpiece of animation. The mood, the vibes, the voice acting, the storytelling, the setups and payoff. I mean, this thing's pretty special. It's pretty spectacular. I genuinely love Over the Garden Wall with all my heart, and I can't wait to break it down. Jacob, Pergron, what say you?
So, do we go into like our history with it or what?
Yeah, whatever you want to do. Just kind of your overall thesis on it.
I mean, okay, first off, I wouldn't. Personally, it's not my favorite thing that Cartoon Network has ever done. I mean, I would definitely concede it's probably one of the best things they ever did in the 2010s. At the very least. And even then, I'd probably say, like, my personal favorite would probably be, like, Gumball, and I've recently gotten appreciation for We Bare Bears as well. But that's not to say... I watched it. I came to the show late. I didn't watch it initially when it came out in 2014. I didn't watch this show until 2016. You know, probably after the initial hype had died down on it. But people were still talking about it even at that point. And you know, it was even around that time, like the collector's edition had come out, like, you know, with the big, like the collectors, like the Blu-rays and like with the special casing and everything like that. So let me just say, I decided to give it a watch, and I loved it. I was won over by it. Its aesthetic, its design, pretty much everything about it was almost borderline immaculate back when I saw it back then. And I don't know if you remember this or are aware of this, but I loved it so much that in 2016 I actually dressed as Wirt for Halloween.
Oh, I absolutely remember that. Yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah, it was 2016. Yeah, it was a couple years after the fact, but I dressed as Wirt for Halloween that year. But the thing is, I couldn't find the cone hat.
Oh my god.
What me and my family did, me and my mom did actually, was we got a fez and like found like a foam cone and just like glued it and painted it red and glued it to the top of it to create his hat.
Nice.
I mean, the shirt, pants, and cloak were easy enough, but finding a cone hat was hard. And the thing is, I actually have not watched the show since that point. I have not watched it in the 8 years since that point. And the thing is, like, I was originally going to watch it on Max, but it's not on Max. I tried watching it on Hulu, and it is on Disney Plus on Hulu, but I kind of gave that up when there was a 1 minute and 45-second ad in the middle of an 11-minute episode.
Oh, Jesus Christ. So, well, I do have the ad-free version, but yeah, kudos to you for that. That's rough.
well, let me. Well, the thing is, like, I used to have like the Hulu without ads, but I'm saving money, so I switched over to the version that's provided by my phone bill.
That's totally fair.
And unfortunately, the Disney Plus version does not have ads, but the Hulu version does, which sucks. But you got to do what you got to do. But what I did instead was bought the thing on Amazon Prime for like $9.
Oh, there you go. And it was you bought it, not a rental.
Nope, I bought it.
Oh, that's totally worth it.
Oh yeah,
That's
like
some evergreen content right there.
Oh yeah, so like I said, I remember liking it. And I was like, man, I needed to do it for this, and I didn't want to get constant. I mean, and like a minute and a half ad at the beginning and end, just I can live with. But like smack dab in the middle of an 11-minute episode, like not even like.
It's funny you mentioned that because I recently just had something similar where I've been watching The Penguin on Max. And for that, with the ads, they just have like a couple ads right at the beginning, like you said. And I was like, you know what? I really should go back and rewatch The Batman. And I'd probably appreciate the show even more. So I did that on Max. And I swear to God, there's like 10 ad breaks. And each of them are like 2 minutes long. I'm like, nope, not going to do that. Especially for a 3-hour movie. Not going to extend a 3-hour movie into a 4-hour movie.
But yeah. So that's like I said, I don't mind ads. I mean, like they're annoying, but they're tolerable. But like I said, not when the thing's 11 minutes long, and in like a minute and a half, in a minute and 45 seconds in the middle of it, like literally interrupting the episode.
Right.
It's like so I just bought it on Prime and watched it that way, where it's like actually 5 episodes and there's 2 to a single slot. And I know my personal interest kind of going a bit long, but.
No, you're good.
I was like, I still like it. I mean, I don't know if I don't know if I'm like as in love with it as I was back then, but I still gotta say, it still holds up and it's definitely worth the acclaim it's gotten over the years. And that's the reason why we're still talking about it after all this time. Like the thing is, like having not seen it for so long, I kind of went into it borderline blind again. I knew some of the stuff, like I remembered like the twist at the end and all that, like how they're from the real world and all that. But like I remember that much, but I didn't remember much else. So I went into it blind. I was like, okay, this is still pretty neat. I still really enjoy this. All right, I'll get into my feelings later on as we go on. So I'll pass this on to Pergron now.
Pergron, New England boy.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm from New England, born and raised, lived here my whole life, probably won't ever leave. And my favorite season, especially as a New Englander, is autumn. I just fucking love fall. So this show was basically
a clip about the New Yorkers coming down to watch the leaves change.
We don't like those. We don't like Family Guy got that one right. But yeah, it's basically made for me with that. But at the same time, my story with it is I remember seeing the ads for it because it came out in like April, right? Or like it came out in like spring or summer on Cartoon Network. And I remember it was coming out when I was on a family vacation. So I DVR'd the entire thing. But then it turns out that my sister had DVR'd an entire season of some like Disney Channel show.
Oh God.
And so as we were gone, she didn't realize she also had it set to DVR reruns. And so it just overwhelmed the DVR and I lost every episode of Over the Garden Wall. I never got to watch it. And I kind of just forgot about it until there was one day it was kind of early autumn and I was sick at home. I was like not having it. It was foggy. I could barely stand. And I found the cracked versions on YouTube. It was a tiny little square in the corner of the screen with a giant background.
Oh, I remember those.
Yep. Oh, and I watched all 10 episodes while sick as a dog in between bouts of like throwing up. And I got through the entire series. And I think it might have been the fact that I was in like a Benadryl haze, but it was the most whimsical thing I had ever seen. And then I remember, again, I kind of forgot about it because I was like, oh, this is really good. But then like I was young. I didn't really watch cartoons anymore at that point. So I remember kind of forgetting about it until one day I was like babysitting my cousins, and I remembered the cracked episodes on YouTube, and so I showed those to my little cousins. Remembered how good it was, and every year since, probably for the past 5 or 6 years, I've rewatched it every Halloween season,
Mhm.
and that's kind of my connection with it. It's maybe not my favorite animated series of all time, but it's definitely in the top 3. I absolutely adore this shit. Like, I basically begged you guys to be on this episode.
All right. Nice. Okay, let's see. We usually do a little bit of background, but Jacob, do you have any of that, or should we just jump into the episodes?
Well, I mean, I don't have much in terms of background other than like it was initially like pitched as like some kind of like TV movie or something along those lines, like in its initial form in like the mid 2000s. Patrick McHale did get work on like Misadventures of Flapjack and Adventure Time, and then Cartoon Network approached him to make a mini series, and there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I'm vastly oversimplifying this, but
Okay. All right. Let's see. We got Little Blue in the comments just saying. Let's see. Coincidentally, my review of another Cartoon Network Halloween special came out earlier today. Billy and Mandy's Jacked Up Halloween. So that's cool. Go check him out if you feel inclined. All right, folks, let's get things started. We're going to go episode by episode here. Starting with the Old Grist Mill. I think this is a pretty flawless pilot. I think it introduces the concept of the beast. It introduces the Christopher Lloyd of it all. It introduces the setting very well and the characters. I just think it does pretty much everything right as far as like what you would need for an introductory point into this world.
I mean, I still say that this was like one of Christopher Lloyd's best performances.
I think this might be the last great Christopher Lloyd performance. I really do. I mean, as far as like, I hope he's got more great stuff in him. I really do. But like, if this is the last like truly iconic Christopher Lloyd performance, I think he went out on a really high note here.
Yeah. One of my favorite things about this episode is just, and the entire series as a whole, but this episode especially, I quote from this just in my regular life all the fucking time. One of my favorites is just saying, "You have beautiful eyes" to anything with like slightly creepy eyes, which working with animals is most of them.
Oh my god! Right.
Oh yeah.
All right. Let's see. Yeah. So, any thoughts on the setup of the characters? I do like how it's a slow build. We don't really reveal Beatrice right away, for example, and obviously we're not really privy to what's going on. There's a big reveal about the time period that this is all taking place in that we're not going to get to until way later in the series. And I gotta say that reveal definitely had me fooled. I thought for sure, like, okay, these are like kids in like the 1800s or whatever, kind of going out on All Hallows Eve.
It's like I'll make a trail of candy in my pants.
Oh God, right? I think it does a really good job of kind of like luring you into like almost a false. I don't want to say a false sense of security because things are pretty unnerving.
Yeah, there's nothing secure about that.
Right. But like just in terms of like, oh, okay, this is this is definitely not of this time.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that you go in and there's nothing. Like you just jump in. Like you don't see them enter, you don't even see them wake up. They're already walking.
It's like kind of like the old-fashioned costume, like even the old-fashioned tea kettle on Greg's head.
Exactly. Yeah.
I love that you have no idea what's going on with their outfits.
Right.
It's like, I know this is Elijah Wood. Is he a hobbit? Is that what's going on?
All right. What do we all think? I think the first scene kind of introducing the beast is a really good kind of setting the stage for what kind of crazy madness is to come.
Or in this quote unquote the beast.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh yeah, it's like they get attacked by the beast. It even chases Greg into the barrel. It's like, you have beautiful eyes. which managed to be kind of a funny moment, and while he's about to be attacked by a vicious animal.
It's just it's a good setup because it shows us how scary the show could potentially be, but it also shows us that everything is not what it seems. You know what I mean? That there are going to be subverted expectations, and I feel like that sort of subverting expectations, things are not always as they seem, sort of thing, it kind of runs throughout the whole series. Almost every episode has some kind of flavor of that.
Yep, exactly. And in this case, it turns out to be basically a mutated dog, like a corrupted dog that was like choking on had some kind of evil turtle in its mouth.
He coughed up the turtle, and now he's my best friend.
This shows quite a few interesting things with turtles. Which another thing I have a connection to because I have 2 pet turtles myself.
Yeah. But that's another thing that I love about the show is that there's definitely elements of this world that we kind of see that turtles have this kind of I don't want to say mystical quality, but there's definitely something supernatural going on with the turtles, but we don't know what it is. It doesn't really spell it out for us.
Even by the end,
right.
By the end, you're like, the turtles were nothing.
Although apparently to some people find them a pretty good delicacy.
Yeah. Yeah, Tim Curry loves them.
Oh my god. All right. Shall we get to chapter 2?
Hard Times at the Huskin Bee.
Yeah, this one honestly might be one of my favorites, just as far as it is such an autumn vibe.
This is my absolute favorite.
Oh, that's totally fair.
This is my favorite episode. This is the one I look forward to every rewatch. It's the one that if I'm trying to get somebody into the show, obviously it's a short series, but if they're just really not having it, I kind of just skip right into it. And then we go back because I'm like, this is the one that you're either really in or you're just out at that point.
And then chapter 3 is probably one of the more divisive ones.
Yeah. But I think this has the perfect level of it's a classic Halloween. It feels like vintage 50s, 60s Halloween
totally.
vibes. Yeah. It's just spooky and eerie enough to work, but just grounded in reality enough to not be off-putting.
Mm-hmm.
And people pointed out even some subtle foreshadowing to what's going on with the boys.
Yeah. And the reveal at the end it's a great bit. The level of suspense gets there. Obviously they're not going to die or whatever, but you kind of don't know
manual labor.
Yeah, you don't know what they're digging for, and when it's revealed, it's super funny.
Right.
But it's also kind of heartfelt. It's oh, that's kind of a nice concept. I wouldn't mind being that when I die.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to be in a little autumn village wearing pumpkin suits. That sounds fucking awesome.
Honestly, S tier afterlife goal.
Yeah, right? I love that it's called Potts Field, where a potter's field is a mass grave. I think that's a really clever twist. I love that the giant maypole, for lack of a better term.
Right. Yeah.
I love that his name is Enoch, which is a Bible reference. It's very much in on the afterlife death kind of thing, and I find that kind of darkness really
kind of fits in with the whole Paradise Lost vibe.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
I also love that it's a cat that's manning it.
That we don't find out until the epilogue.
Right, until the very end
of the entire series.
Yeah.
All right, and then we also get introduced to Beatrice properly in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Beatrice. Guys, I've got such a personal thing with the Beatrice character because Melanie Litsky, her voice sounds a lot like the voice of my girlfriend from high school. But not only that, this girl had both a niece named Beatrice and a cat named Beatrix. So I'm like, how the hell? This is insane. This character is just haunting me. And it's one of those girlfriends where it's like, I wasn't like abusive towards her or anything, but I had no idea how to be in a relationship at that point. So there's definitely parts of it that I look back on and I was like, yeah, I was kind of a dick and I very much regret it. So yeah, the Beatrice character has always kind of stood out to me as like, oh wow, that's kind of like a symbol of my past mistakes almost. It's so weird.
Yeah, with her, I also really like the call to just like mythology and lore with the name Beatrice as like a guide. Because she was Dante's lover, somebody in Dante's Inferno in the Divine Comedy. And where they're not going to do a direct call out, but it's very much inspired by the Divine Comedy.
Sure.
I appreciate little references because even as a not religious person, that's one of the greatest pieces of writing of all time. So I like having it.
And I also, one of the things I really appreciate about Beatrice's character is that there's a lot of liar revealed baked into her plot. But we don't necessarily spell out exactly what she's lying about. We can just tell that she's lying about something. And I like that. It builds suspense. And also, once the liar revealed thing happens, we don't really, I mean, they do get broken up for an episode, but it's not like they're like, they're trying to get back to each other pretty quickly. You know what I mean? It's not like we have to linger on like, oh, that Beatrice, I'm never going to trust anyone ever again. Oh, like as soon as Wirt and her find each other again, they're pretty tight. We don't have to go through the whole, charade of like, oh, that they're not going to work together anymore. So I like that. I think all the liar revealed stuff around her actually does work pretty well.
I also like that, like, yeah, it's a liar revealed, but it doesn't. Nobody spells it out.
Right.
Like it's kind of just you piece it together yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And they never like have a conversation where like they're like, you betrayed us. They're kind of just gone. Like while Adelaide is disappearing. So I don't find it as ridiculously annoying as other liar reveals.
Sure. All right, so that'll bring us to Chapter 3, Schooltown Follies.
Yep.
I know that this is one that can turn people off of the whole damn show. I gotta tell you, it might be my personal favorite.
It's a good one. I'm a big fan.
I mean, come on. It's like the only like straight up comedic episode of the entire show.
Potatoes and molasses is like an earworm to end all earworms.
Potatoes and molasses.
Dude, the first time I heard that thing, it just would not leave. It was in my head for probably literal weeks.
I mean, this is a Greg episode, and Greg is the best character in the show. So, like, he gets some of the best lines here. Again, his line when right after the little monologue where the father reveals he's just this tiny guy, he's homeless, he's trying to fund the school, and then he falls asleep, and Greg goes, "He's asleep. Let's go steal his stuff."
Although Greg's actual best line I put in the description of this video.
You're gonna make me go look at the fucking video now.
No, we'll get to it later.
Let's see. I love the art style here. I love the anthropomorphic animal school children.
I love that they're clearly just animals.
Right.
And the goal of the school is to like, anthropomorphize them.
Right.
And Mrs. Langtree and the saga of Jimmy Brown, genuinely probably the most like objectively funny stuff in the whole show.
Like, and the fact that he was only gone for like 3 days.
Yeah, 3 days.
And she had already written like an ABC song about how terrible he is.
I know potatoes and molasses is the earworm and the one that stands out. Mrs. Langtry's lament is fucking hilarious.
It is.
And listening to it on the album, because it cuts away during the show.
And even the gorilla manages to be hilarious.
Like, yeah. But like listening to the album, which I fucking love the album. The Blasting Company is phenomenal. But listening to the album, it's the entire, like, she goes through the entire alphabet and numbers.
Oh my god, I need to hear that.
Like, she keeps going. It's so funny. I love that as soon as they get in trouble, they all have to go to bed, and it's like clearly still daytime. I love that they have a dunce box.
and also worse, just like sticking it to Beatrice the whole time.
Yeah. I love Too Old Cat.
For sure.
Like that old cat's too old.
I love that Greg's hanging out with like the school skippers, but they all show up for dinner anyway.
and it's just potatoes.
And molasses.
Well, I know it was originally just potatoes, but then he's like, then he turned it into potatoes and molasses.
And then he like just slams the piano and he goes, play like this. And then she plays actual notes and he goes, that'll work.
It's like, yeah, that'll be fine. I mean, you can tell he's just like 5 years old.
Mm-hmm. Like I normally I don't hate kids in like real life, but like kids in media,
like little kid characters.
Yeah, I get so over them. So the fact I adore Greg as much as I do is
Greg is a very, very well written little kid character.
Mm-hmm.
He has I think the problem with a lot of characters his age in animation is that most of them are written to be like wise beyond their years. You know what I mean? And Greg is simply not. Like, he is an idiot child who knows nothing of the world, but still is like gung-ho about it.
Says the most hilariously inappropriate things at any given moment.
Basically like a real 5-year-old just says what immediately pops into his head.
And the voice actor does so good too.
He was only 9 when he made this show.
Right.
Hard to believe he's 19 now.
Oh man.
Jeez.
Oh, time has no construct. Time is an illusion.
We're not in the Matrix.
How do you know, Jacob?
I think we probably have found out by now if we were.
I don't know. All right. Anyways. Okay, should we move on?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just love like the resolution how Wirt actually solves the mystery of the gorilla.
Oh, by tripping on his shoelace that got brought up at the beginning. That Beatrice told him to tie his shoe.
Right.
And Jimmy Brown coming out with the I was trying to tell you, but people got too darn scared of the gorilla.
That is like some Andy Griffith show.
Yeah,
and they managed to raise money for the school, which is nice.
The only thing I wish, and this is selfish of me because I love this vibe too. The only thing I wish is we had gotten an episode at the circus because I love Americana and I love the circus and I would have loved to see that.
Totally. All right. Next up, Chapter 4, Songs of the Dark Lantern.
Whiplash.
I'm not gonna lie. This is probably one of my lesser ones. I feel like the Highwayman really just kind of like steals the whole show here. He's one of the only things I actually remember about this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
not on any given watch.
And how overly animated he is.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the like old school rotoscope.
Yeah, but it just looks off compared to the rest of it.
I feel like this is kind of just a transition episode. It gets us the horse.
Fred the horse.
Yes. Y'all feel the same way?
I actually really like this one.
Do you?
I like this episode too.
None of them are bad. I want to say that. All of these episodes are great. I'm just saying, like, if we're grading on a curve, this is probably one of the less special ones for me.
Mm-hmm.
But at least it does have like some things that do kind of become important later on, like especially bluebirds being bad luck kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really like some of the stuff I really like about it is I love that all the characters are just kind of, they are their job.
I'm the
And-
highwayman. I make it.
And that's just a very fairy tale thing to do.
Totally.
So I like that, like,
I know trying to find out like what are you?
yeah, like I love that they're trying to place him into a box. They're like, "What are you?" And the song where they think he's a young lover is really funny.
And although, this is also the one that reveals that that Wirt and Greg are actually half brothers
Mhm.
instead of like actually instead of just full on.
This is
brothers.
also where we
Yeah.
first see the Beast, right?
Yep.
Yeah, this is the episode where we first see the Beast.
I feel like this episode, it's like, it's as far as like the plot goes, it's pretty important. I just don't necessarily think it's not as memorable as some of the other ones, just as far as setting goes. I mean, the tavern setting is cool, but like, compared to Pottsfield or even the school town, it's it's a little bit of a
as a D&D fan, this felt very much like something that you would have in a Dungeons and Dragons campaign.
Sure.
Like you always end up at the tavern with all the characters, and this felt like something that I would have written for that. So for that, I agree. It's probably not the most spectacular of all of them.
Yeah.
But I think as a transition, it works really well, and I think I have a lot of fun with this one.
Like plus, as you mentioned earlier, we get Fred the horse.
Although he's much better in the next episode.
I mean, true, but we meet him. We meet him here.
Yep.
But and of course, as I mentioned, the Beast. We actually get to see like the first instances of the Beast
And hear his voice, which is such a good voice.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the voice acting, just like there's literally not one voice actor here that isn't just phenomenal.
Yeah.
The thing is, the actor's like a trained opera singer, I believe. And but the thing is, he doesn't actually do that much singing.
No, only really in the last episode, if I'm remembering. Right?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's mostly just like trilling.
Right.
I mean, don't get me wrong, he's great at voicing the Beast.
Mm-hmm.
I like that we don't know actually know much about the Beast itself.
I mean, again, it's one of those things, like there's a ton of lore in this series, and it really doesn't need to be spelled out.
Yeah, I love that it's left up to interpretation, because the original plan was to have like a devil-like character following them around. I think they were going to call him Scratch. I read the interviews. But yeah, he was going to like keep popping up, and he was going to be like an Americana devil type guy, which I also love. But I kind of like that they went the route of mysterious, lurks in the woods. You don't really get his vibe.
I mean, Gravity Falls, I adore that show too, but like one of the things that I do kind of find annoying, and it's not about the show, it's just more about the fandom, is that the Gravity Falls fandom is like obsessed with like, oh, we got to put all the pieces together, all the clues, everything means something. And I'm like, no, sometimes it's better if a show just doesn't spell shit out and you're open to your imagination, Yeah. And again, that's not the fault of Gravity Falls. That's kind of more
the fandom.
Although, granted, I feel like Gravity Falls did kind of buy into that a little bit with the hidden messages and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
But anyways, we need to do a Gravity Falls retrospective at some point. I'm pretty sure it's close to 10 years since the finale, which again, time means nothing. Weird Mageddon was almost 10 years ago. Jesus Christ. All right. Chapter 5, Mad Love.
another kind of funny, somewhat unnerving episode.
This one, I don't know if this is the one you have in the in the bio, but this is my favorite Greg line, where they get the coins and he throws them in the.
I have no sense at all.
Yeah. Uncle Endicott pegged me all wrong. I have no sense.
Oh my god.
No sense at all.
I mean that is a great. It is probably my second favorite Greg line.
All right, then I know what your favorite is. We'll get to it.
Yep.
Yeah, if that's not number one, I know what number one is.
Yeah, you probably do, considering what I mentioned earlier in this podcast.
I fucking love this episode.
Oh,
Dude. This
yeah.
might be my second favorite.
John Cleese, I love John Cleese in this episode.
I love that it's like the ghost mystery, and by the end of the season, they're probably both ghosts.
Right. Right.
Like, we only see the woman at the end. Like, we only see him as a painting. Like, so for all we know, for all we know, like, she's probably still alive, but he's dead.
Right. We definitely see his tombstone.
Uh-huh.
I love that Fred wants to steal everything.
It's like, why don't we ask what Fred wants? I want to steal.
I love that Greg is.
It's got a real Lemony Snicket.
Yeah, the peacocks busting through the glass wall gave me Reptile Room.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's got a total Reptile Room vibe.
And Greg's just like, fancy chicken.
Wait, was John Cleese Uncle Monty in the Jim Carrey movie, or am I totally misremembering that?
I don't think that was John Cleese.
I don't think it was either. So. I could see John Cleese playing Uncle
that
Monty.
Could be a John Cleese, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he totally could, but I don't think it was.
Now I'm gonna look it up just because I'm curious. Anyways,
no, it was Billy Connolly.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Another very classically trained British actor. Yeah.
I mean, I read all the original books, so
Same.
And I also really liked the Reptile Room, mainly because I really like reptiles.
Dude, Reptile Room is peak Lemony Snicket.
It's
really
the incredibly deadly viper.
I mean, I think the great thing about the Reptile Room is that it basically did the formula of a Lemony Snicket book as well as it could possibly be done before it really became a formula. If that makes sense.
Yes.
All right. Anyways, enough Lemony Snicket.
But yeah, this I love pretty much everything about this episode. Uncle Endicott's insane
Funky.
Yeah. His like insane drivel throughout the entire thing.
Although obviously it does kind of come unnerving when he's like,
right,
when you think there is no specter and he might just have early onset dementia.
Right. Yeah.
When they're accusing him of killing the woman and stealing the house,
he's like, I'm not saying anything, but I'm saying that that Endicott is mad and he off the woman.
Do you know what I've done with these hands? The terrible, dirty.
I'm done with these terrible hands.
And then it never elaborates.
I mean, it manages to be kind of funny and terrifying at the same.
Right? Yeah, it's like it really is Lemony Snicket for just like how it's funny and dark and.
Speaking of Lemony Snicket, here's another time is not not real thing. The set of twins who played Sunny, or I'm sorry, I don't think it's a set of twins. I think it's just one actress. She's 22 years old.
Jeez.
She's old enough to drink. Sunny Goldelair is old enough to drink.
That's
time means nothing. Anyways.
Yeah. Anyway.
I feel like time means nothing is just going to be like the thesis of this whole podcast.
I mean, we don't know how long they were in the water, so time could mean nothing.
That's true. God. It's like they're like 150 years in the future. All right. Anyways. So chapter 6, Lullaby in Frogland.
And then this is my third favorite episode.
Yeah, this is up there for me too. I think from a pure design concept point of view, it's up there with things like Pottsfield and Schooltown as far as just the setting. I love a good riverboat.
And like the 1920s aesthetic of the frogs.
Totally.
The Over the Garden Wall song is my favorite song.
Oh, it's immaculate. Yeah, it's absolutely immaculate. I love how it comes back, but yeah.
This is also my favorite episode for the frog's name. Because it's just like become George Washington. And then the president is nude. Feel his cold feet.
And then later calls him Benjamin Franklin,
Yeah.
who actually was not a president, but I don't expect Greg to know that.
And then at the end, when he's signing the record deal, he goes, "Well done, Mr. President."
When I was rewatching this, I was almost expecting the frog to stay behind.
Yeah,
Like
I'm glad he didn't.
Does anyone remember that?
Yeah, yep.
Oh man, childhood trauma right there.
What happened?
Pergron, you want to give him the cliff notes?
Yeah, there's a episode with a fake out where Pikachu leaves Ash.
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, it's like they find a colony of Pikachu.
Yeah.
I didn't hear you say Pokemon.
Yeah, and Ash is like, maybe Pikachu would be better staying here with his own kind.
And as a kid who hated Pikachu as a Pokemon because of how popular it was, I wanted him to.
God. All right. But yeah, I mean, I think I honestly kind of feel like this episode's pretty self-explanatory. I feel like it's basically just aesthetics and vibes, and there's nothing really wrong with that.
Yeah. I think the humor is done well. I like that Beatrice at this point is very guilty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like it starts off like, oh, it's this nice, the riverboat ride. Even Wirt is enjoying himself, like uncharacteristically, like seemingly like he's actually enjoying himself here.
Mm-hmm.
And then the ending is like this, where this witch melts to death because of the outside air.
Right. They also do a really good job of getting Adelaide just out of the way. Like it clearly isn't the point of the show.
Yeah, yeah, no, I like that too. Yeah.
So like just
like wow, that was quick.
Yeah, it was at a point where I'm like, whoa, that what? And then by the end, I'm like, oh no, I'm glad they did that because I don't want to be dealing with like Adelaide at the end.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I love that the frog drops her tadpoles and they keep slipping on them. what a dark thing to do.
It's like those are frog babies. And like I said, the funny thing is, this show kind of, like, basically predated Amphibia.
Yeah, no, it did, yeah.
It's like this episode kind of foreshadowed that. Like, I wonder if it was like, it's like that part of the unknown is like pre-Amphibia, like prehistory Amphibia.
It would be funny if it was.
I know it's not, but.
All right. So that brings us to Chapter 7, The Ringing of the Bell. This is up there for me. This is definitely up there for me.
This is probably like one of my personal favorites too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, of course, it's impossible to talk about this episode without talking about Tim Curry just doing an absolutely just knockout job.
This was post-stroke too, right?
It was.
Yeah.
And I feel like it being post-stroke only adds to kind of like the disquieting nature of his performance here.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's phenomenal. Go ahead.
I love the calls to Spirited Away.
Yes, absolutely.
It's very like both with Anti-Whispers is very I keep wanting to say Baba Yaga. It's whatever Yubaba, was that who the character is?
You mean the witch? Yeah.
Yeah. And then Lorna is very much No Face. They're very similar. I love the twist that Lorna is the evil one.
Yeah. Well, the spirit residing inside.
Right. But she's the dangerous one.
Yeah, no, and Anti-Whispers has such an intimidating build-up to her, and it's like you just think for sure that she's the bad one. You know, she's like the classic like Hansel and Gretel witch, and it's like no, not at all. She's actually like one of the most pure-hearted characters in the whole damn show.
This is
the best word Greg quote, right?
Yeah, like, so we came here to burgle your turts.
Burgle your turts.
That's my personal favorite Greg line.
No, it's a great one.
It is. Yeah. So we came. So we came here to burgle your turts. Like I said, I have turtles myself, so I really love that. Not the fact that
that they're gonna burgle them.
I hope my turts don't get burgled, but yeah. So And the fact that Auntie Whispers actually eats them.
I love that the ringing of the bell, all they had to do was just ring it and say, "Get out of here." Like, Auntie Whispers was 100% using Lorna.
Well, some people have interpreted it differently. Like either she didn't think of that, or Auntie Whispers didn't want Lorna to abandon her.
Oh no, she was maliciously doing it because she wanted the free help. Maybe it was a little bit of I want love and somebody here, but like she knew what she was doing.
But it was nice at the end when Lorna decided to stay with Auntie Whispers out of her own free will.
Yeah.
It's like I'm your family, and then she like gives her a hug. It's just like, aw.
I also like at the end where she's like, "Hey, be careful of my sister, Adelaide." And they took care of that. She's dead already.
Yeah, like she's like, be careful, be wary of Adelaide. She's not what he appears to be. It's like, okay. It's like they didn't have the heart to tell that she's already dead.
All right.
Pretty much darkness from here on out.
Yep. Yeah.
All right. Episode 8, Babes in the Woods. Speaking of Gravity Falls, I feel like this is very much Over the Garden Wall's Weird Mageddon Part 2. Where it's like it looks light and cheerful, but there's some dark shit going on underneath the surface.
Yeah, I mean, I like Gravity Falls. It's been a minute since I've watched Gravity Falls. But
Weird Mageddon Part 2 is the one where it takes place in Mabel's imagination.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that was definitely one of the, like, I remember liking the finale. That was the part where I didn't love the finale. I do love this episode.
I like Weird Mageddon Part 2 just because it has a lot of series callbacks.
But it also has Dippy Fresh in
it. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's one reason why a lot of people don't like that one.
Are you saying that people don't like Dippy Fresh?
Yeah.
This is honestly news to me. I love Dippy Fresh. Anyways.
But yeah, I love like the callbacks to the early 1920s cartoons.
Oh yeah, totally.
I mean, the entire series is inspired by 1920s Disney and Fleischer cartoons.
Oh,
this has absolutely got a Little Nemo and Slumberland vibe to it.
Oh yeah.
I just love the parade of like, we are these people and we're here to greet you.
It's like we're the welcoming committee, Part 3, and he's like, any more?
And then it's just like the dog thing in the rain. That's enough.
And Greg has a nice dream. Meanwhile, they're freezing to death.
Right.
Right.
I don't know how you guys interpret this. Do you guys think this is a fun little theory I've heard? Do you guys think that Greg's dream, he's actually like up there and like he is actually getting a pass, or do you think it's the beast influencing him?
No, I definitely think it's the beast influencing him.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Because I've seen so many people who are like, no, it can't be. And I don't know if that's just cope or...
The show literally doesn't spell out anything enough
to
say that concrete one way or another, really.
Right. I feel like that's copium, but maybe it isn't.
Uh-huh.
I also love that this is the episode with potatoes and molasses in Latin, right?
That's wicked ridiculous.
But also so emotional.
Like, who would think that song of all things would be like one of the emotional linchpin moments of the whole show?
Also, even better on the album. Like, you listen to the.
I bet.
But yeah, I like that this. I also love that this one starts off with the fish fishing out of the Shrek bathroom. Or no, they're in the Shrek bathroom. The fish is just fishing. Uh-huh. But that's a nice little call forward to the next episode.
Sure. Let's see, we have Finn K in the comments. Happy to have you. He's saying, "Come wayward souls, come wayward souls." Plays during the fourth committee.
Potatoes and molasses. Civetes equare and nobis.
It's so funny because neither potatoes nor molasses, I think, would have a Latin word. Because neither were I don't think either were Old World. Potatoes definitely weren't. But yeah, no, this is it's definitely the episode that me having like fever dream sick the first time I watched it, I was like, what the fuck? Am I dreaming this?
Like, no, but Greg is while he's freezing to death.
Right.
And if you count the entire series as a dream, which who knows if it actually is, this would technically be a dream within a dream.
Like Inception type shit.
Kind of, yeah. But I said, who knows if it actually is a dream or if it actually happened.
I also love the Old North Wind song.
Yep.
Also a very good song.
It's definitely reminiscent of like Cab Calloway, like Man in the Mountain kind of thing. Like, what are you gonna do? I'm gonna do the best I can.
All right.
Okay. And of course, the ending is just chilling, not because of the fact they're freezing to death, but because of Greg's heroic sacrifice to go with the beast to save Wirt's life.
Right.
All right, so next up we got Chapter 9, Into the Unknown.
Which is which definitely took the show in a direction a lot of people probably weren't expecting.
Yeah.
This might be my favorite episode if I were to like gun to my head. I think this episode like really does a lot for just expanding the lore of the show, just kind of like opening it up. I mean, like you have a preconceived notion of what you think the show is going to be, and it just gets completely blown wide open here.
Right. I love the reveal of Jason Funderburger. They built him up the entire series, and like there's a sequence where I don't remember Sarah. She's like getting changed, and this jock pulls up, and you're clearly supposed to think that's him. And then it's not, and then she's clearly not into Jason Funderburger at all.
You actually see Jason Funderburger like, "Hello, Wirt."
Yeah,
and he's just like this nice nerdy guy.
Yeah, I love that he's not even like a jerk to Wirt.
But Wirt just like sees him as like the total package,
right? Like he's not even.
I mean, we've all been there, right? We have all totally been in this situation. It's so realistic.
Yeah,
it's painfully realistic.
Like they could have easily just made him like a dick, but they didn't. He was just like a nice guy.
he's just this awkward nerdy kind of guy. And he just seems amicable with Wirt. Like Wirt just sees, and Wirt doesn't even hate him. He just sees him as a rival for Sarah's affections.
And all of the characters are like clearly they're like they like Wirt. And
no, yeah, absolutely. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Meet the Robinsons. They all hated me.
Hey, Michael, want to play later? They all hated me.
That's exactly the energy.
Like the classic self-serving memory.
Oh yes.
Although at least Wirt didn't become a guy trying to take over the future with a sentient evil hat. all because he couldn't catch a baseball.
I love that Greg is doing favors for candy.
He's like, Greg, it's Halloween, candy is free. but she said nothing in life is free.
Thanks for the candy, Miss or Old Lady Daniels. You're welcome, and don't call me old lady.
Sure thing, young man.
I love that this is where he gets the stupid rock.
That's a rock secret. And then we find out in the next episode, like it's like I stole the rock. Like that's the worst thing Greg does. He stole the rock. Anyway, so yeah, Wirt and the mixtape.
Come on, you've never made a mixtape of clarinet and slam poetry.
Like I can't say that I have, but I can only imagine that some people have done awkward things when it comes to someone they like.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure that's very relatable. I mean, I'm sure Wirt does some things that probably aren't relatable, like falling unconscious into a creek, but.
Yeah, no, I learned how to play oh fuck, one of the Green Day songs on acoustic guitar.
Oh, no. Oh,
For some- like I've been there.
At least it wasn't Wonderwall.
No, it was like I can't remember if it was "Wake Me Up When September Ends," which might be
that's a very acoustic guitar friendly song.
or it might.
Wake me up.
Yeah,
when
I don't think it
September
was because I think it was cringier than that. Although that's pretty cringy.
No, the only thing cringier than "Wake Me Up When September Ends" was probably like, "It's something unforgettable."
It might have been that one. It might have been that one actually.
Yeah,
No,
pretty
which is the
cringe.
cringiest option.
I
So
mean,
yeah,
Panic at the Disco has some good songs, but yeah.
Wait, what?
Was it Panic at the Disco? Or was that Green Day?
that was Green Day.
Yeah, it was
I
Green
was like, where did Panic
Well,
at the Disco come in?
Yeah,
I mean, this episode is named after a song that Panic at the Disco did a really good cover of, but I digress.
I mean, either way, Green Day does have a lot of good songs, but those aren't their best options.
Green Day is genuinely might be my favorite band, honestly. I love Green Day.
Well, they are good.
But Wirt doesn't. He likes clarinet.
Oh,
I love the Cops. You'll never hear me say this ever in anything else, but I love the Cops in this.
Hey,
I love
burglars, you're under arrest.
Yeah,
Nah, just kidding. Happy Halloween.
like if Cops did that and didn't get into controversy, I think we'd all be cool with that.
The Cops in Gravity Falls are also pretty delightful and canonically gay, which I appreciate.
Right. They're also just dumb though, and like I don't love a dumb character, just like in general. I love that they're just being guys.
Right.
I also love that they're like, you want to go drink age appropriate beverages, and yet they still flee.
I really wanted the cops to be like, "Hey, what are you two doing? What are you kids doing? Drinking age-appropriate beverages?"
What is this? Some kind of witches gathering?
And then they all scatter, like Wirt's trying to get a mixtape back from Sarah's jacket.
And then the train. Then I thought for sure they were about to get hit by the fucking train. Which would have been a way darker way for the show to go.
and not to mention, like, Wirt laying into Greg.
Right.
And then, like, it's like, I'm messing it up like you always do. Which I think is, like, probably Elijah Wood's best acting in the show.
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, this episode just does a lot as far as it just recontextualizes everything. It makes rewatches of the show very, very, very valuable, very worth it. Yeah, genuinely one of the best.
And if you remember the first Wirt's first line of the series is like, "The graveyard of my love." And they're like, it's just like him like waxing poetic, but then it turns out like, nope, they just literally came into there and that's the last thing they remember.
I also love that we get a reveal that they're Halloween costumes.
Oh, that's a really good reveal, yeah.
And he's an elephant.
The fact that the teapot's supposed to be an elephant trunk.
It's like, look, I'm the headless elephant.
I like that Wirt just is very apathetic and like he just kind of threw something together. He doesn't really know what it is or if it's even supposed to be. It's like, yeah, it's a costume.
But like he's so self-conscious about it too.
Right.
Like he's equal parts, I don't want to do this, and
oh god, you want to talk about my favorite Wirt moment? I fucking love the face he makes when he sees Sarah and Thunderburger like with the tape. That face is just incredible.
He's like, no!
Oh yeah, but I honestly, Wirt is he's written so well as far as like just a teenager who's uncomfortable in his own skin. It's such a realistic depiction of that. I mean, I'll say this: I'm a grown ass man. I'm in my mid-30s. I still feel like this.
Thunderburger.
Oh man. All right. Okay, and finally we're going from Into the Unknown to the unknown. Hey guys. What is that? It's the unknown. Had to do it.
That was this year. That's
I-
fucking crazy.
Another time has no meaning.
Yeah. I saw somebody dressed up like that at a Halloween party I went to.
Oh fuck! That's a good idea for a Halloween.
Like they had the mirror. They
What?
carried the mirror with them.
What is this referencing?
The Willy Wonka Glasgow experience from like February.
Oh, all right.
If you haven't seen that,
I know what it is.
Yeah.
I just didn't know that the unknown was a reference to that.
yes,
It's a really famous clip where it's like, "What is that? It's the unknown," and then it's followed immediately by a child like, "Whoa!"
terrified. Yeah, no, somebody went to a Halloween party I was at, dressed like the unknown, carrying a mirror. It was really funny.
That is genuinely like peak 2024 Halloween costume material. For Halloween this year, I'm going to be literally for the third time in my life, Boston Rob from Survivor. Yeah, because I'm creative like that. Literally, all I need to do for that costume is grow out a goatee, and just have a black tank top, red gym shorts, and of course a Boston Red Sox hat.
Mhm.
Anyways,
I went as Steve Irwin because I could wear my work uniform. And I didn't have to put anything except a wig on.
oh god.
Crikey.
But yeah, no, it's this episode's
part was just brutal because literally less than a month after he dies and he shows up in an episode with like this stingray in his heart, like, this is your costume, Satan. Savage. Anyways.
So yeah. So the Beast is having Greg do these meaningless tasks so he succumbs to the cold.
Mhm. I think this episode is just like, first and foremost, I think it's an absolute tour de force for Christopher Lloyd. I love how Christopher Lloyd, he's kind of had a presence in this show the whole time, off and on, but in the last episode, he really gets to shine.
Yeah, I love that the boys don't deal with the Beast like at all.
Mhm.
Like they don't solve the problem, save the day. They just kind of go like, "No, that's stupid. I'm not gonna carry your lantern."
Where it's like, no, that's dumb. Here, take your lantern back.
Right.
And then it turns out like it's like your soul is inside of it.
And then
And
they
then-
leave Christopher Lloyd to deal with it.
The Christopher Lloyd's he's like the realization that his daughter was not in there this whole time is like that's how crushed he sounds.
And that's like right after he learned he'd been chopping down like kids.
Oh yeah, I mean, again, his he has so much pathos in his delivery. Like every line he says, it's genuinely one of the best Christopher Lloyd performances ever.
He's like basically saying, "Would you have done this?" Like, had I known, I wouldn't have done this. Like he had no idea that he was turning kids into oil for the Beast's soul.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that right there is like, it's literally right out of a Grimm's fairy tale.
Yeah, that's a line we can say in reference to a kid's cartoon.
Right.
He unknowingly chopped up trees that were the kids that turned into trees and turned them into oil for a Beast's soul.
You wouldn't get that on Disney Plus.
Well, you would if you watch it on Hulu and you have Hulu. I watched this on Disney Plus. I have the Disney Plus Hulu combo.
I watched it on my Blu-ray that I own.
And like I said, I tried watching it on Disney Plus, but ads. So I watched it on Prime. So I bought it on Prime instead. And now I can watch it whenever I want.
Yeah, this is one of my every year watches. It's this and then Scary Godmother.
Oh man, you see, I'm a couple years too old for Scary Godmother, so by the time that came out, I was already kind of like out of the Cartoon Network thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have nostalgia for Scary Godmother, and because of that, I just watched it for the first time not too long ago. I think 1 or 2 years ago for the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
It does nothing for me.
See,
nothing for me.
I pop an edible and it's the greatest thing ever.
Sounds terrible.
I love that gay fucking skeleton. I love him dearly with all my heart. But yeah, like this is a good episode.
I mean, I think like it might not have the memorable like settings or lines or whatever that some of the other episodes have, but I think this one has some of the best pathos. Like I said, it all goes back to the Christopher Lloyd stuff. I think the Christopher Lloyd stuff just really, really sticks to landing. The final montage, Pergron, I mentioned this to you before we went on air, but I get so emotional when I see like that. Like I don't even think he has any dialogue, but just the animation of the woodsman
and his
when
daughter.
he sees that his daughter is still alive. I mean, it's just I that's one of those like
and she just, and
the way that just instantly gets me choked up.
And the way she's just like, Papa?
And
he's just like,
oh, man.
And then we see Beatrice turn back into a human, and then turns out the rampaging dog was actually their family dog.
And then you get the cat is Enoch, or the boys get added to the toy maker's little collection. I love the epilogue.
Yeah, I think the epilogue definitely carries a lot of this episode. But again, just the stuff with the Beast and Christopher Lloyd as well.
I love that
all really good.
I love that the Beast's design is fucking terrifying.
Right.
We only see it for less than a second.
Yeah. And it's fucking horrifying. Like, I thought it was going to be some type of like Wendigo shit. Like it was going to be like a, like a skull and whatever. No, this was like just a man made of souls.
Right.
And all kinds of contorted faces.
Yeah, like that's terrifying.
It's like I've actually managed to like see the paused like where the screenshot of his face, and it's just like it's not something you want to stare at.
No. But yeah, I think this really stuck the landing. I don't know if I'm making this up, getting it confused with something else. Did Doug Walker and his brother hate the ending to this? I feel like I remember them not liking it.
Oh my
but it
God,
could be another show.
When they're just fucking media illiterate.
Yeah. But I know they didn't like Haunting of Hill House, which is another.
How? I know how, because they're obsessed with the original black and white movie.
Yeah, I know they didn't like the ending to the Haunting of Hill House, which is fucking insane. That's another every year watch for me.
That's another one we should probably put on the roster at some point.
I would love to come on and talk wax poetic about that one. I fucking sob every time. It's fucking insane.
Oh my God. I remember I think it was on my trip to Dollywood, I want to say. I was watching the bent neck, the episode that basically like reveals who the bent neck lady is. And like I touched ground on Tennessee right when that reveal happened.
Oh jeez.
Oh holy shit! What a way to start the vacation.
Yeah, I know they didn't like the finale for that, so maybe that's what I'm getting confused with. But I feel like they didn't like the finale for this either. But they never like anything because they fucking don't know how to. They're media illiterate. and the fact that Doug, I don't remember his brother's name, but wow. Doug's more media literate than his brother is insane to me. Because Doug's
Doug Walker is like 2 steps away from just being straight up illiterate. I don't know. I still defend him though. I don't know.
I used his videos in middle school too.
Nostalgia Critic, I've said this before, like, they're not good videos, but I feel like it's one of those things where it's become such a routine for me that I kind of feel like I have to watch every one, which is stupid, but...
Yeah, it's like the old stuff was fine. I mean, I liked his older stuff. Funnily enough, the nostalgic stuff that he did was actually better, ironically enough.
Dude, the freaking stuff where it's literally just him against the wall I mean, it's just like that. It just brings me back to a time and place. It really does. I mean, that old nostalgia critic stuff is
Yeah.
legitimately nostalgic.
Not his review of The Wall though.
No. Not I'm talking about the wall, the actual.
I know, like the wall behind him. Yeah, but
Yeah,
I know.
back when he had a gun.
Oh my god!
but what I mean, but I'm saying definitely not his actual review of the movie The Wall.
Yeah,
which is legitimately one of the worst things ever uploaded to the internet.
yeah, I hard agree. Honestly.
I'd almost rather watch The Critical Drinker than that video.
Ooh, oh man. I mean, the thing with Critical Drinker videos is at least they're not fucking 45
Yeah.
long.
And at least
and not trying to force a story into it.
Right. Well, Critical Drinker is
no, he tries to force a narrative.
But anyways.
Well, like I said, I don't really watch
a message.
Yeah, a message. So if The Critical Drinker reviewed this, the message would be that
oh god, what woke shit is in this?
Yeah, let's see.
It's not.
It's woke because it's about a kid struggling with his own identity. It's a straight white male who can't get the girl. That's evil.
Oh my god.
That's
and
one of the unfunniest things I've ever heard in my life.
And his and he's being bossed around by a girl bird. That's not even a person. And that's why you shouldn't watch this fucking shite.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, God.
I'm the drinker.
Okay, Pergron, I feel like in the spirit of the whole chills thing, we should do like a parody.
It's not.
I'm going to do a full video why Over the Garden Wall is woke.
Just go over like every little thing. God. All right. Anyways, this has gone off the rails. Do we have any final thoughts?
And it wasn't even that funny.
I'm sorry, Jacob. I enjoy laughing at an idiot who's like just a grifter, but whatever.
Yeah, no, if you haven't watched Over the Garden Wall, you should go watch it. It's a beautiful little piece of animation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it might not like I guess Jacob, like I feel like it might not be the absolute best if you were to compare like full series of Cartoon Network shows. Sure,
I mean, I know that.
Whatever, but
I'm not saying like if I think Cartoon Network's done several mini-series by this point. Like this was the first one it did, but I think they've done several more by this point, and I'd probably say that probably is the best one.
I mean, I would just say like this is a full-blown like narrative achievement. I mean, it's hard to beat. Like,
I think my issue with I've never been a Cartoon Network kid. I had it banned when I was really little, so I was only allowed to watch it for Pokemon, and then I wasn't allowed to watch it in the afternoon because my mom was very controlling like that.
And nowadays in the afternoon, you've got Adult Swim.
Yeah.
So.
No, yeah, it was like I could watch Pokemon in the morning and that was it. But yeah, I think I've never been a fan of random equals funny, and I feel like that is a lot of Cartoon Network stuff of the 2010s.
Oh yeah.
Like even if it's good, like even like Adventure Time, which I know for all intents and purposes is great. People love it, but it's just the random equals funny of it all. That regular.
I mean, that was Adventure Time at the beginning before like became the narrative driven show that it was.
Yeah, and like I totally get that stuff, but like I love that this isn't random equals funny. And I think that's what makes me love it as much as I do. Beyond the like it felt different.
I mean, random equals funny, there's also quirky equals funny.
Yeah, and just I don't know.
Wait, I'm not really too huge of a fan of that either.
Like I used to watch Gumball, and I'm sure I know people love it, it was too random equals funny for me.
The funny thing is, I love Gumball. That's the funny thing.
Mhm.
Mainly because like how character driven it is. Like
Mhm.
Weird
if,
thing
if,
about Gumball for me is that most people love it because of the mixed media art style, but I think the art styles clash in that show. I can't get used to it.
like I said, it works in the show's favor, in my personal opinion. Anyway, like
I'm sure if I were to watch more of it, I'd get more into it. And there are certain characters, like I think the mom really stands out from the episodes I have seen. But
admittedly, probably the first few episodes are kind of rough before finds its groove, but like later on it becomes like classic. I even suggested like one of the Halloween episodes, like a Halloween or another episode for Hijinks this year.
I think out of the big three from the 2010s, I think Regular Show would probably be my personal favorite of the three.
I mean, Regular Show's good too. Don't get me wrong.
Regular Show feels the most like a classic, like 90s cartoon, and that's what I like about it.
It is good, yeah.
Anyways,
all
right.
The thing is, I didn't watch that as extensively as the other
Sure.
ones.
I mean, I didn't watch it all the way through either, and I know that by the end, it also has like some pretty deep lore shit in it. But like, I think in that show, there's literally a whole season where they go to space, and I didn't watch any of that.
Well, there's also the movie kind of touched upon like time travel stuff like that too.
Right.
I didn't know there was a movie.
Yep, there is.
All right.
And think about it. In the time you've watched this podcast, you also could have watched the entire series of Over the Garden Wall.
Yeah, you probably should have.
Which that's one thing I really do like about Over the Garden Wall is how self-contained it is. The fact that it pretty much is just like, it's not necessarily a feature film, but I think you could call it a Halloween special and have that be appropriate.
I mean, it aired 2 episodes a day for 5 days.
It's on Letterboxd, so you can review it as a movie.
That would be I literally I didn't catch it until maybe a few months after it had aired, but man, I envy the people that caught it on the first watch, man. That must have been a hell of a week.
I mean, like I said, I didn't watch it until like 2 years after it came out. And funnily enough, I think it was like Jonan Vasquez, the Greater Invader Zim, that got me into watching it in the first place.
Thanks. I do remember my local Six Flags had banners advertising it, and that's kind of what got me intrigued by it. It's literally just the poster that we see here in the thumbnail. And then you know what Cartoon Network thing they were advertising literally the year afterwards?
What?
I know it's overhated, and I'm not gonna say that this is like the worst thing ever or anything, but Teen Titans Go. Like I don't really hate Teen Titans Go at all, really. I think that the show does do some funny stuff from time to time.
Yeah.
But still talk about a downgrade, though. Talk about a downgrade.
And the movie was legitimately good, too.
The movie was legitimately good.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, like I said, I've seen a couple episodes of the show. I think it's funny. Is it good as the original Teen Titans? Hell no, but
it's not trying to be the original Teen Titans.
Exactly. That's my point. It's just like trying to be its own little funny corner of the DC universe.
Yeah.
I mean, is it like what I call it, like quality classic cartoon? No, but if I need something just want to turn on and laugh, I can guarantee I can at least get a couple chuckles out of it.
No, for sure. So like, yeah, but again, still kind of a downgrade, like going from like advertising Over the Garden Wall to that.
Well, yeah,
you could have advertised Infinity Train instead.
I mean, I'm not gonna deny any of that.
Y'all watch Infinity Train?
No.
Pergron!
I've seen the first, like the pilot that they dropped.
Yeah, basically me too.
For shame, fellas.
Like right now, I know this is a completely different network, but if anything, what I really need to get caught up in is Kid Cosmic.
Oh yeah, Kid Cosmic is great. Is Infinity Train technically fucking lost media nowadays?
It pretty much is.
No, you could buy it on YouTube for 99 cents an episode, but like it's not actually streaming anywhere.
Or physical media.
Which is ridiculous. Which is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
I will say the one Cartoon Network thing, the one Cartoon Network miniseries that I think actually does measure up to Over the Garden Wall is specifically Infinity Train Book 3. Infinity Train Book 3, there's some just crazy dark character moments in that thing. I mean, there is like that season goes in places you would never expect a Cartoon Network thing to go in. Like even more so than Over the Garden Wall.
And if you count Samurai Jack season 5 as a miniseries,
I mean, I count it as a mini series, but I don't count it as Cartoon Network. I count it as Adult Swim.
It's literally produced by Cartoon Network Studios.
No, I understand that, but it's a different thing if it's on Adult Swim. You know, it's not marketed towards children. Mini Train was on Cartoon Network proper, and there is some shit in there that
but season 3 was like Max exclusive.
You're right. Yeah. Okay. Anyways.
All right. So I'm just saying, like, if you count Samurai Jack, then yeah, that goes to some pretty dark places too.
Man, Samurai Jack, it started strong. I do not like the way that show. I do not like the focus it put on romance at the end. It's the Ashi stuff. That was a mistake.
Like, I remember you actually liking it when it first came out.
Yeah, well, I can change my opinion, and I did.
I know. I'm not saying you can't.
I mean, I like, it's just not what that show should have been at the end of the day.
Well, that's how Tartakovsky wanted it to end.
Yeah. All right. I think we've pretty much, we're just kind of about random Cartoon Network stuff at this point. So.
And like I said, while listening to this, you could have finished Over the Garden Wall in its entirety by now.
Right.
Or at least come pretty close to it.
No, I mean 11 minutes a piece. We're at an hour 20 minutes. I think literally it'd be exactly, if you started Over the Garden Wall right when we started this episode, I think it'd be over like literally right now. So
play them both at the same time. Someone get back to us.
It's like the Dark Side of the Moon Wizard.
It's like, okay, the bee should be they should blow the lantern right about now.
All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and take us out, guys.
All right.
All right, folks. That's the end of tonight's spooky selection. And our spirits grow weary. But they'll be stronger than ever next time as we engage in even more haunted holiday hijinks. I love turtles.